Gun Free South Africa is urging those directly affected by gun violence, including, and this is important, including children, to have a say on the Firearms Control Amendment Bill. It's seeking, among other things, to deny firearm licenses for self-defense. This is always a very complicated story to unpack. Gun Free South Africa supports the bill and says owning a firearm is a privilege, not a right. Well, let's try and find out what is happening with this story of Gun Free South Africa's director, Adele Kirsten. Adele, morning to you. Always good to have you on ENCA. I think what we need to address, first of all, if we can, what do we mean by the fact that children should have a say in gun control in South Africa? Is that being misread, or is that what you mean?
Good morning, Gareth. Well, we said young people because they bear the price of there being too many guns available in our society. So if you look at the data, young men in particular, between the age of 18 to 24 years, are most likely and most at risk to being shot and killed. So we did speak specifically to youth, and we work with young people in violence-affected communities. I think the children issue is that many children's rights organizations have worked with Gun Free over the last number of years, providing us with information about the impact of gun availability on the lives of children. So several children's rights organizations made submissions into the process during the year when the amendment bill was published.
Adele, let me ask this question very quickly, Adele, because a lot of people, when we promoted this interview, I saw a lot of people on social media, Adele, and I'm sure you're used to a lot of people kicking back because of Gun Free South Africa. I just want to be very clear what we're talking about. We're talking about having young people and children having a say on the amendment bill. You're not suggesting giving guns to children and young people. That's not what that's not what you're calling for. I think there's a lot of confusion.
No. Oh, no, absolutely not. So children's rights organizations must make submissions and must be part of the bilaterals that the Civilian Secretariat has been instructed to do by Parliament over a 6-month period. Young people over 18 can have a direct say, and we worked a lot with young people. And this is about stricter gun control. Our experience of working with young people in communities affected by gun violence is that they are tired of the violence. They are tired of the availability of guns. They want stricter gun control.
So how do they get involved, the youngsters? I think you said 18 to 24 and a little bit younger. But these tend to be conversations that, stay in adult circles and those who are involved in organizations like yours. What are you expecting from youngsters on how they should voice their opinions, Adele?
Well, what Gun Free South Africa does is we run workshops. We talk about what are the problems of guns in your community. And there are a number of things that young people always raise. The one is the issue of age. So they want to increase the age for gun licensing beyond 21 to 26. They're very clear that they want to reduce the availability of guns in their community. And so for them, when they looked at the amendment, which reduces the amount of ammunition you can have, the type of gun you can have, and the number of guns you can have, they support that kind of strengthening of the gun law. So government is now embarking on a whole series of what they're calling bilaterals to engage with people who have a stake in this law. And there's a tendency to consult those who benefit financially from the trade and the owning of guns. And often the people who are most affected by the availability of guns, by gun violence, who are bearing the burden of gun violence in our country, they are often overlooked. And we know that in many other policy environments, young people's voice is not taken seriously.
Adele, let me come in very quickly off the back of young voices not being heard. Just speaking of other voices that might not be heard in our discussion, before I say goodbye to you, briefly if you can, I know you talk about this and you address this issue often. What do you say to those who are claiming to have a firearm for self-defense because they don't feel protected in their own homes by South African police services and everyone else who's meant to do their jobs by keeping us safe? What's your reaction to those people?
So to say we understand, we all live in fear. We are all scared. there's a low level of trust with our police, but we have to look at the information. And the available information is that guns are not effective for self-defense. And in fact, our view is that it undermines our constitutional right to dignity. And so we have sought legal opinion. We think that repealing this section will stand constitutional muster.
Well, I appreciate your time in joining us this morning. Always good to have you on, ENCA Gun Free South Africa Director Adele Kirsten.